Ask the Expert is brought to you by Auger Hollingsworth Accident and Injury Lawyers.
Welcome back to CTV Morning Live's Ask the Expert segment. We are discussing personal injury law, and if you have a question for Brenda Hollingsworth of the Auger and Hollingsworth Personal Injury Law Firm, you can feel free to get in touch with them as well. Perhaps your question surfaces once we're done this broadcast. info@ottawalawfirm.ca is the email address. ahinjurylaw.com is the website, and 613-233-4529 is their phone number. So far, we've been presenting scenarios that you've come across in your profession. And the next one is, let's say you head out, you leave home, you're walking to a local bar, and you plan on walking home at the end of the night. There's a downpour. A friend offers you a ride. You hop in the passenger seat. They're driving home, but the driver in the car you're in runs the red light, T-bones someone else, and you yourself are injured.
Yeah.
Do you get a chance to file a claim, and how difficult is that to do that to a friend?
Yeah, well, it happens all the time, right? People have insurance, and so, whether it's your spouse or your sibling or your friend, chances are it's going to be their insurance who's going to cover it, so you shouldn't worry about that. Now, the interesting thing about this scenario is friend and injured person are at the bar. Right? And so if the person ran the red light because they were impaired, and you are impaired, you got in the car with a drunk driver potentially. Do you still have a claim in that situation? And the answer is yes. Right? You might be partly responsible, which we call contributory negligence. You might be partly responsible for getting in the car with an impaired driver, but you definitely still have a claim. And a lot of people think that if the at-fault driver is a drunk driver, they're not going to have insurance. But generally speaking, that's not the case. Your insurance generally isn't voided because
of the impairment.
Unless you have a G2 license. A G1 license, you shouldn't be driving alone, but a G1 license, a G2 license, or you're under 22. Right? Because the laws about zero alcohol apply to that group of drivers. And in that case, there can be a negative implication for your insurance. So it doesn't mean you shouldn't talk to a personal injury lawyer, because usually there's a solution. But definitely in that situation, it's a lot more complicated.
And when it comes to contributory negligence, would that reduce the damages that you can claim?
Exactly. So if you are very badly injured and your claim is worth $1 million and a court found that you were 20% responsible for getting in the car with the drunk driver, you get $800,000. So that's how it works. So whether it's a judge or a jury, they assess the percentage that you're responsible, and the damages get reduced by that percentage. So this exact scenario, at any given time, we have 4 or 5 different cases in the office where an impaired person gets in the car with an impaired person, and maybe they're too drunk to make a better decision. And sometimes the bar is also responsible. For over-serving, for not paying attention to how people are leaving their establishment. That's called host liability. And so sometimes the at-fault driver will be responsible. You'll have some contributory negligence, and the bar or restaurant will also share some responsibility.
Very interesting to know.
These cases are complicated. They tend to be very serious injuries. Cases involving impaired drivers don't tend to be fender benders. They tend to be very serious, and but there's usually a solution, and it usually involves a combination of defendants.
We have one more scenario before we let you go. You are rear-ended in a collision at rush hour on a busy street. You and the other driver get out of your cars to have a look. Your car is damaged but drivable. You're developing a headache and feel your neck and upper back tightening, so delays to your injuries. What should you do about that?
So this is basically almost every scenario, right? So people, first of all, do I move the car or not? You can move the car. If you are able to take a picture before you move the car, do it, just to confirm the positions. Most of the time people don't lie. Sometimes they do, or sometimes they perceive things differently. So try to take a picture before you move the car. But if you need to move the car out of traffic, you can. Definitely phone the police. So people think, oh, well, if my car's drivable, I shouldn't phone the police. You should phone the police if there are any injuries or damage to your vehicle over $2,000. I can tell you,
most times,
almost always now, it's over $2,000. So phone the police. They may tell you to come to the collision reporting center. If they tell you to do that, you know, you're not going to be able to talk them into coming, probably. But go to the collision reporting center. If you're not feeling well enough, get someone to come, you know, whether it's an ambulance or a friend to come and get you and take you to the collision reporting center. It's really important. You can go to the hospital first if you need to, of course, but get to that collision reporting center. You could still have a case with a police report from the reporting center. Probably 20% of our cases come from the collision reporting center as opposed to police attending at the scene. It's absolutely fine.
Oh, perfect. Brenda, this is so helpful and so interesting. Thank you once again for joining
us.
And we look forward to seeing you again very soon.
It'll be soon. Thanks.
Right. And remember, if you would like to get in touch with Brenda of Auger Hollingsworth, the information is on the screen. info@ottawalawfirm.ca is their email address. Their offices are located on Woodruff Avenue, and you can always get in touch with them and reach out by visiting their website. We also have their phone number, 613-233-4529.